What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from YGO from Zero, back with another Yugi-Kaiba format video. And this time I'm going to be talking about the Dark Equip deck. Now, I made a rather long video covering the Earth Equip deck, which used Invigoration to buff up battle oxes and 1500 attack point earth monsters to get over things like lodge-in and your opponent's defenders and things like that. And my conclusion in the video was that that deck was not very good. It was not terrible, not the worst thing in the world, but it just, the invigorations didn't really do enough. So the question remains then, will this sort of dark version of the strategy using Sword of Dark Destruction instead of Invigoration and equipping to dark monsters, will that have a bit better of a payoff and actually be decent? Well, let's find out. Before I get into the duel that I have prepared today, let's just dive into the deck breakdown. And of course, this is my build of the deck, so, if you're building this sort of deck, you might decide to go different routes. Like in the past, this has been called sort of like Fiend Equip, because it is maxed out on a ton of Fiend monsters and Dark monsters, and even gone so far as to include, 3 copies of Sword of Dark Destruction and maybe an additional copy of another equipped spell like Dark Energy, which equips to Fiend monsters, giving them 300 more attack. I think that this strategy is a bit too bricky when you go down that route, and, equipped spell strategies are already bricky enough. So I've opted to just include 2 Swords of Dark Destruction, which can pair with Lodgins, and also the 3 Ryukishin Powered that we're playing in the main deck. Sword of Dark Destruction can buff a Lodgin to above 2k to get over an opponent's defender, like a Giant Soldier of Stone. It can also buff a Ryukishin Power to 2000, which won't get over a defender, but will get over things like your opponent's Lodgins, Battle Oxes, etc. So the Dark Equip deck does have sort of a better target to equip to in terms of attack, whereas the Earth Equip deck, you need 1500 monsters. Here we've got 1600 monsters. And of course there are trade-offs to this, because you can't bring out Ryukishin Power off of something like a Last Will. So it can make it a bit less consistent. But Ryukishin Powered is also a better card to draw than something like a Pale Beast. So, that 100 attack points can make a difference. Especially given that, with reinforcements, it can get over a 2k defender, whereas a 1500 earth monster cannot get over a defender with just reinforcements alone. But anyways, for the specific card-by-card deck breakdown, we of course have 3 Lodgin, 3 Neo, 3 Battle Ox, the premier beaters of the format. We're playing a pretty aggressive deck, so we want to max out on these. The 3 Lodgin can also be paired with the Sword of Dark Destruction, although ideally you want this equipped to a Ryukishin Powered, but you can equip it to a Lodgin to get over a 2k defender, or to get rid of an opponent's Lodgin in a way that preserves your Lodgin. We also have 3 Giant Soldier of Stone to act as a defensive wall, which can be very good at stalling our opponent for a bit, drawing into an equipped spell and a monster to go with it. We also have 3 Man-Eater Bug, which acts as removal, which is just a great card. We have 3 Ryukishin Power to go with our Swords of Dark Destruction. And we have 1 Summon Skull and a Change of Heart. So if you draw this combo, the Summon Skull and Change of Heart can act as sort of a pseudo removal. Summon Skull can also be used with Sword of Dark Destruction, although it's not an ideal equipped target, as it's already the biggest monster that sees play in this format. It can be used to get over your opponent's Summon Skulls, so there is that. Moving on to the other spells besides Change of Heart and Sword of Dark Destruction, we have a Dark Hole, a Raigeki, a Monster Reborn, a Pot of Greed. All the limited spells in the format, just incredibly, incredibly good. We have 3 Fissure to act as more removal. We have 2 Sword of Revealing Light to stall our opponent for long enough to hopefully draw into our combo. We have, for the traps, 3 Reinforcements, 3 Oboku, 3 Trap Hole. You know, the standard trap lineup in this format. Reinforcements enables you to potentially preserve your investment if your opponent has a reinforcement of their own when you attack in with something like a Ryukyuan powered with a Sword of Direct Destruction equipped. Then you can flip up your own reinforcements and get over their monster. Waboku is great at just protecting your monsters and your life points. And Trap Hole, of course, is just great removal. Anyways, for the side deck, we have 3 Trap Master to deal with more stally strategies to bring in Ultimate Offering. We also have 2 Summon Skull, 2 Soul Exchange to go into a heavier Soul Control package to deal with stall decks. We have 3 Wall of Illusion to deal with more Soul Control sort of decks. We have some card destructions. I think you could probably cut one of these, but honestly, I, didn't put too much thought into the side deck as I'm not planning on playing this deck for long, but you could probably potentially even cut both of these, I think, just for other better cards. But they're very good against Exodia, so that's something to keep in mind. We have 2 Just Desserts. These are good against, Ultimate Offering decks or even stall mill decks that overcommit. And we have 1 Ultimate Offering in case we want to get a bit more aggressive. And of course, I'll mention here, the reason we don't have Ultimate Offering in the main is that it just doesn't really do enough in these equipped strategies. The reason why it was so good in a Field Spell Tribal deck was because you could chain it to a Field Spell's activation. Can't really do that with the equipped spells. Not a terrible card. I think Ultimate Offering is one of the most interesting cards in this format and can be very powerful for certain decks. But I don't think that this main deck here is well suited to, take the most advantage of Ultimate Offering. So that's why it's in the side deck for if we want to get more aggressive with it. But anyways, now that I've gone over the deck breakdown, let's dive in to the duels. Okay, we've got a game against Da Squid. We're on Dark Equip. We don't know what they're on, but it looks like we are going first, which is pretty nice. Okay, this is a pretty good first turn hand. We have Pot of Greed, so we can just fire that off, draw 2. And we have 2 mass board removals. We have a Battle Ox to back up with the reinforcements. We have a Fisher. We have a Man-Eater Bug. This is just an incredibly, incredibly good hand. So we're just going to set 3, pass back to them. They're going to bring out Lodgin. That's fine by us. They're going to attack in, and we do have a choice here. We can either use up a reinforcement here to clear their Lodgin, or we can just let the Battle Ox die and Fisher their Lodgin next turn, or just set a Man-Eater Bug, cause that to pop the Lodgin. A couple different options here. I do think that using up the reinforcements now is best. We've got removal to deal with like our opponent's defenders, and so we don't really need to save this for a defender. We can just use this here to make a pretty big aggressive push because we'll deal a little bit of damage here and then we can get into attack next turn as well. So we're feeling pretty good about that play. They're going to set 2, pass back to us. Change of Heart is great to draw, especially since we have the Summon Skull in hand. So we're feeling very good about that. We're just going to attack in. And we're just going to set the Change of Heart as bluff. They're going to set 1, pass back to us, and we draw. Now we have a couple options here. We could Change of Heart their monster, tribute offer a Summon Skull. We could, Raigeki it away if we're worried about it being Man-Eater Bug. We have a couple different options. We are just going to actually attack in. The reason for this is if it's a defender, we can always Fisher it. If it is a Man-Eater Bug, we lose our Battle Ox, but we do have a Man-Eater Bug of our own that can be used somewhat defensively, which is pretty nice. And yeah, I think that this is an okay play. If it was, if it was a defender and we Change of Hearted it and then we treated it off for like a Summon Skull, we would have been able to potentially get in a lot of damage here, but we also would have majorly overcommitted. So I think that this is sort of the playing it safe way to go. And then we'll just set 2. This can be kind of rough if they have a Swords Revealing Light, or like a Change of Heart, but we're not the most worried about that. They're just going to bring out a Battle Axe of their own, attack into a Man-Eater, we'll pop their Battle Axe, and we draw another monster, so we're feeling good about that. Unfortunately, they have a Trap Hole, so we will lose that monster. Nothing we can do about that, but it looks like they don't have any follow-up there, which is very nice. We're going to set a reinforcements. This does fill up our entire back row, but frankly, we don't really care about that unless they don't bring out a monster next turn and we like draw a Trap Hole. That could be pretty bad. If they don't bring out a monster next turn and we draw like Monster Reborn and we want to go aggressive, then that could be bad, but I don't think there's much risk in filling up our entire back row, because if they bring out any monster, then we can use up one of these 3 in the middle. So Neo is a pretty good draw. We'll bring out Neo. They reveal that they've got another Trap Hole, so kind of unfortunate, but they're going to bring out a Lodge-In, attack in for 18, and they'll just pass back to us. Man-Eater Bug's pretty good. We have a couple different options here. We could just Fisher away their Lodge-In. We could just set the Man-Eater Bug. We could Change of Heart their Lodge-In, summon out Summon Skull, get in for 25. A couple different options. We are going to Change of Heart here. You maybe could say, oh, you should have saved the Change of Heart for when they have a set monster, in case it's Man-Eater. Get the most value out of it that way. We should have just like Fishered away their monster or set a Man-Eater Bug. But we want to get a bit aggressive here. You know, it seems like they don't really have any monsters to defend themselves. And it seems like they don't really have many, you know, defensive options here. So we're just going to try and get in damage while we can. They're going to Fisher away our monster. That's fine. They're going to Reborn back our monster, which is kind of unfortunate. This is a bit of a punish for bringing out the Summon Skull. Waboku's a pretty good draw, though. We're going to set the Waboku, set the Man-Eater, pass back to them. They're going to Change of Heart our set. You know, it is what it is. They'll be able to pop the Man-Eater. They'll be able to attack in. We're just going to Waboku that because 2,500 is a lot of damage. They're going to set one pass back to us. We have a Lodge-In, which we'll bring out. And then we'll just Fisher their monster away. This will enable us to get in for 18. And they'll be left with 1,600. So we're feeling okay about this. We do have 2 more board removals. They've used up their ways of, you know, bringing out more than one monster each turn to get in for damage. So we're not too worried about dying next turn. So we're feeling okay about this. They're going to Soul Exchange our monster, summon out Summon Skull. Unfortunately, we don't have a Trap Hole. We haven't drawn Trap Hole the entire game. So we won't be able to deal with that. And they're just going to Swords. Sword Dark Destruction is not what we want right now. But if we do draw a Dark Monster later, it can be okay. We're just going to Dark Hole their Summon Skull because we don't really have any way to protect ourselves from it. So they're going to bring out a Battle Axe, and they're going to attack in. We can't do anything about that. So we'll take 17, pass back. They'll pass back to us. Man-Eater's pretty good. I mean, we have to set it. We don't really have another option. And they're just going to attack in. And we'll pop their Battle Axe. They'll pass back to us. Swords is a pretty great draw. We're just going to fire that now out of an abundance of caution. Maybe they don't have another monster, but in case they do, we definitely want this up. They're going to bring out a Giant Soldier. We can't do anything about that, so that's fine. And they will dispel our sword, which is really rough. We really wanted to keep that sword online so that way we could buy ourselves some time. But it looks like we're not going to get that opportunity. We'll take a 13, go down to 7, pass back to us. And oh, these 2 swords with no monsters to equip them to. There wasn't really any way we could have saved it. I mean, we wanted to just use our Lodge-Ins as Lodge-Ins. We didn't really want to save them for Swords of Dark Destruction. And you know, Swords of Dark Destruction aren't the best on Lodge-In anyways. So this is not the best. It's just kind of, we can't use these cards to do anything here. We have to Raigeki their monster. and just hope that they don't have another monster to kill us here. They're going to set one and pass back to us. So that means that it's very likely that's a man-eater bug, because if that was a giant soldier, they probably would have just summoned it out and gone for game. We draw a giant soldier of our own, and we could set the giant soldier here, or we could just not bring out the giant soldier at all. If we got the read that it's man-eater bug, because they can't flip up the man-eater bug without popping itself. But the risk is if they have summoned skull in hand, they can tribute over the man-eater bug for the summoned skull and get in for lethal. So what we're going to do here is we're actually just, well, we're going to think about it for a bit, but we are going to just summon out the giant soldier, and we are just going to preemptively attack into the bug. You know, we lose the soldier, but we were going to lose the soldier if we set it anyways, and if we left that bug set on field, they could potentially tribute it off for a summoned skull. So I think we did what we had to do here. If they draw a monster, we lose, but if they drew a monster, we lost anyways. So luckily they don't. They're just going to set one, pass back to us. Waboku's a great draw. They're going to set one and pass back to us. So that to us, you know, reads like they probably have another man-eater. So again, we've got to clear it just in case they've got a summon skull or something. So we'll bring out Battle Ox attack in, and it's actually a defender, so we will be able to get over that with reinforcements. And we're feeling very good about this. If they don't have another monster, we can just attack in for game next turn. They unfortunately have Soul Exchange and Summon Skull, so they'll be able to bring that out, and we won't be able to deal with that. Oh, and Fisher will be able to deal with that, though. So we will be able to clear it, pass back to them. They will bring out Neo, so they will be able to attack in, but we've got the Waboku. So if we can draw just anything to deal with this Neo, then we're fine. That is not what we need. That came way too late. I mean, they had a reinforcements, but yeah, I think if we had not drawn this trap hole, or maybe drawn it earlier, we could have won it, but yeah, that ain't gonna do it. So that's game one, and we didn't get to pull off the equip combo. In fact, drawing the equip spells were actively bad for us, because I think if those were like any other card, given the state of the game when we drew them, I think we would have actually been able to win that first game. But as is, you know, I mean, it happens. You know, every deck breaks occasionally. So nothing we could do about that, but feels kind of bad. Now, they didn't actually see the equip side of our deck, so they don't really know what we're on. They've just really seen like very generic things in our deck. So we're going to keep the equip strategy going. I think it's got like a decent matchup against Soul Control, or at least not a terrible matchup, so I don't think that we need to actually side it out. So we're just going to keep it on Dark Equip and see what happens. So we will again go first here, because we want every advantage we can get. And thankfully we drew a trap hole in the opener this time, so we don't have to, you know, just dread drawing it late in the game like last game. We're going to bring out a Neo and set 3 and pass. We could have brought out the Ryukushin Powered, but we're saving it for if we draw Sword of Dark Destruction. So Neo should be fine. They're going to bring out a Lodgin, and we will just trap hole that. That may be a bit greedy, because we do have a Fisher, so like we could have just let the Neo die, Fishered their Lodgin, and save the trap hole for something like a Summoned Skull. But we figure we can save the Fisher for something like a Summoned Skull, or worst case scenario, a Raigeki for a Summoned Skull. And this way we can get as aggressive as possible, attacking in for 17 next turn, and they might not have a way to contest the Neo. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to attack in for 17. We could activate the swords here just to protect our Neo for as much as possible. I think that's just getting a bit too greedy. So we're just going to set it, saving it for a more opportune time. They are going to reveal that they do have another Lodgin, so they will be able to bring that out. We'll lose the Neo, take 100. But this isn't the worst thing in the world. We have a couple options here. We could Fisher away their Lodgin, potentially bring out like a Ryukishin, attack in. We could just set a Maneater bug and, you know, hope that they don't have a change of heart or something, or that they're not willing to commit to the change of heart at this juncture. We could activate the Sword Revealing Light to play it safe. What we decide to do here is we are just going to set the bug. We figure that if they have a change of heart, you know, they might not use it here because it's like a bit greedy early on in the game. And if they tribute out like a Summon Skull or something, then they're playing into like board removal. So we're hoping that they won't change of heart this. If they like Raigeki it or Soul... Well, if they Raigeki it, you know, that's disappointing, but not the worst. Because they've used up a mass board clear. If they Soul Exchange it, then we've got the Raigeki for the next turn. So we figure this is somewhat safe. And also we do have another Maneater in hand. So we might as well use up one now. But they'll think about it for a bit. And they will change of heart. So unfortunately, we will get majorly punished here. And we will take 3,500. So that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, we were basically like, you know, if you've got the one of, you got the one of. Or I guess, you know, Raigeki could be another card that would do this to us. But I really don't think they'd use Raigeki on a single set. I think Change of Heart was the only possible thing they could have had that could have led to this outcome, and they had it, so, you know, it is what it is. Waboku's a pretty great draw here, though, so we're just going to set the other bug in our hand, set the Waboku pass back to them. We could have Raigeki'd their board, summoned out Ryukishin Powered, and attacked in, but I think we're saving the Raigeki for juicier targets. And especially because if they don't bring out another monster, we can just Fisher away their remaining monster after this play. They're going to attack into the Battle Ox. We'll pop the Lodgin. Feeling pretty good about that. A Lodgin of our own is a great draw. We'll just bring it out. Hopefully we can clear the Battle Ox with Lodgin alone, but unfortunately they have a trap hole, so nothing we can do about that. We're just going to Fisher away their Battle Ox, pass back to them. They'll bring out Neo, you know, kind of unfortunate, but we'll take 17. Maybe we should have activated the swords this past turn because we are running low. But I like saving swords for when we absolutely need it. And we do have a Waboku in a worst case scenario. So another Ryukishin Powered is not very good here. Because, you know, it would be great if we had like a Sword of Dark Destruction, but as is, it doesn't really do anything against this Neo. We're just going to swords, hopefully buy time to draw into our Sword of Dark Destruction. They're going to bring out Lodgin, and then they've got D-Spell again, so they will be able to pop the swords. Kind of unfortunate. We will have to use the Waboku here. At least we're still alive, but we're kind of, we've got our back against the wall. We are just going to bring out Ryukishin Powered, Raigeki their board away, and get in for 16. We do have a trap hole to back up the Ryukishin Powered, so not the worst thing in the world. But this isn't the best place to be in. They're just going to set one pass back to us. Reinforcements is a decent draw. We'll attack into their set. It's a giant soldier. And we're just going to set one pass back to them. You could argue that we should have, you know, not attacked in just in case it was a defender. Because we do have trap hole, so we could have trap holed it if they flipped it up. But I don't think that we should, you know, trap hole them flipping up a defender. I think we should save trap hole for something that could actually kill us. So we decided not to do that. Unfortunately, they do have Fisher. So yeah, they brought out a Neo, so that's what we used the trap hole on. So we would have been taking this 13 anyways. They could have just flipped it up. But at least we would have had 400 more life points, so that would have been slightly better. We are going to bring out Ryukishin Powered here, and they're fine with that. The reason we bring out Ryukishin Powered instead of Lodgin, and maybe this is a bit of a mistake, but we figure that, you know, they're more likely just to bring out a monster and try and attack over the Ryukyuan powered, which we can use our reinforcements for, to, you know, go super aggressive. I don't know. Maybe this was the wrong choice. Maybe we should have brought out Lodgin. But if they do have a Fisher and they use it on the Ryukyuan powered, then that's much better for us than if they use it on the Lodgin. And again, as I said, if they just try and attack into it, we've got the reinforcements to back it up. So we're just going to attack in. They reveal that they're set to Woboku, which is honestly fine by us. Until they Raigeki. So, you know, that's less fine by us because this just is the end of the game. So it turns out it didn't actually matter which one of these we brought out. Which happens. So, a short 0-2 set with the deck. What was the last? Oh, they just had another giant soldier. So, I think that this match shows off the flaws with equipped spell decks in general, where Game 1 we drew the equipped cards, and Game 2 we drew the monsters that we wanted to equip them to. And without, you know, one without the other was not good enough to win this game. And if we had had better cards here, maybe we would have been able to win, especially Game 1. I think we could have won if we weren't playing this strategy, but yeah, it just didn't come together. And that's my big complaint with these sort of equip strategies. And you could apply this complaint to, you know, the Umi beatdown deck that I showed off on the channel somewhat extensively before. But with Umi beatdown, you're playing one hard brick in the form of Umi. And even that's not the hardest brick since you can use it with Ultimate Offering. And then you are playing those 3 Great Whites. So, like, if we just drew the Great Whites here, you know, for the Ryukyuan Powereds, we would have had a similar sort of situation as we had this game. But, you know, I think just like Game 1 would have gotten a lot better because we wouldn't have been able to brick twice. I mean, I guess if we drew, like, Umi and then Ultimate Offering, like, yeah. But I don't know. I just think that this deck bricks in ways that are more inconvenient than other sort of tribal decks. I think that equipped tribal decks also have the flaw of losing heavily to reinforcements potentially, which is really unfortunate if you invest 2 cards into a way to clear an opponent's monster and then they use 1 card, a trap card, to prevent you from actually being able to clear it. I think that's a major flaw of the deck. And I don't know, maybe this deck just isn't my type of playstyle. Maybe I'm just not a good fit for it. Maybe you'll have better luck with it. Maybe you'll enjoy it better, enjoy the playstyle better. But, you know, I just think that equipped tribal decks are not good. That the benefits are far outweighed by the downsides. And you're going to wind up with way more games like this one than games where things actually go well and you're able to pull off the combo and actually use it effectively. So I'm not planning on showing off more of this dark equipped deck on the channel. I know that you might be wanting me to show a game where it actually, you know, succeeds and does what it wants to do. But after playing multiple games with the Earth equipped deck and never actually really succeeding in using Invigoration profitably, I'm not going to spend a lot of time playing multiple games with this deck, likely losing in, you know, basically the same way, and then just never pulling off the combo. So I'm going to move on to some other decks after this one. If you all do really want me to play with this deck more, I can make another video on it. But as is, I am not planning on it because I think I've sort of summed up my thoughts on equip strategies pretty well over the course of this video and the Invigoration video that I made a while back. But even if this video ended on a somewhat negative note on this deck, I hope you still enjoyed the duel, and if this deck is up your alley, I hope that you can potentially try it out and hopefully see success with it. As always, if you liked this video, please consider liking the video and also subscribing to the channel. We did reach our 69 subscriber milestone, which was very exciting. And we are almost at 80 subscribers as of recording this video. So hopefully we can reach 100 at some point. That would be really, really cool. And maybe I'll come up with a special sort of 100 subscriber video special. I'm not sure what that would entail, but if you've got ideas, you can write it in the comments. I think that's a little while away though, so not anything in the too immediate future unless a bunch of people subscribe. So, which can happen. It's only like 20 or so subscribers until 100, so it could happen. But until my next video, I've been Ben from YGO from Zero, and I'm signing off.